Okay, ready to do some fiberglassing now. I'm going to put 3 layers of 100 gram on each side and then 50 gram on top of that just to make it a bit smoother, but then I'm going to put some peel ply on it, so that's probably going to ruin the smoothness. Anyway, and on this one I'll put just one less layer of the 100 gram. And I'm going to do both sides at the same time because when I made this quad last year with carbon fiber, I did one side at a time for this one on the bottom piece, or both pieces actually, and it resulted in sort of a bowing out on that bottom piece, although I can't really see it at the moment. It wasn't really a huge issue, but some people mentioned in the comments that if I had have done both sides at the same time, that probably wouldn't have happened. So I'm going to give that a try here, and it's going to be quite a bit easier because, well, the reason I didn't do both sides at the same time here is because you can't see through the carbon, it's all black. So I wouldn't have been able to see the outline of the shape there or the holes to drill through them. But you don't have that problem with fiberglass because it's going to be see-through. So that's nice. And I've blocked up these holes because I want them to be kind of soft. If I didn't block them up, they'd get full of resin and they'd be very hard to drill through. But when they're like this, I'm thinking that they'll be soft enough that the drill will kind of self-center itself a little bit when you're trying to drill through it. And the reason I've kept it in the piece that it was cut in and filled up the outline with putty as well is that now that I'm doing both sides at the same time, if I didn't do this, there'd be a big lump of resin around that edge there that I would have to be getting my scroll saw through to cut their shape out. And I didn't really have that problem with this one because when I was doing one side at a time, gravity would pull the excess resin down a bit onto the table or onto, away from the wood. So there wasn't such a huge lump of resin to get the scroll saw through. And also on the video about this one, there were some people asking, why didn't I just put the carbon onto the plywood first and then put the whole thing on the CNC machine and cut it out? Then I wouldn't have to worry about the stuff that I was just talking about. The reason I didn't do that is that the wood is best cut with a spiral flute cutting thing, and then the carbon is best cut with one of those chip breaker kind of tool bits. And if you're cutting both at the same time, I'm not really sure how that would turn out. And also you'd get carbon dust everywhere, and I didn't want to have the water bath or the water trickling over it while there was wood in there. So it just didn't seem like such a great idea. So I'm going to not do that again this time. Obviously I've already cut the CNC thing out. But at some point in the future, maybe I will try just making a sheet of plywood with glass or carbon on top of it and then seeing how that goes with the CNC router, but not this time. Okay, there it is, all ready to go. I just stole these carbon fiber plates for the camera sides here from another quad, along with the Runcam Micro Sparrow that's in there. And I'm using a good old FlySky FSIA6B receiver, and that comes to 340 grams, which is not too bad, considering this one over here is 290, so it's really light, but it's also a fair bit smaller if we look at those like that. So considering the extra size, I don't think that's too bad weight-wise. But now I'm thinking maybe if I made this one again, or just took all these parts off there and put them onto here, this one could be so much lighter because it's using 4 regular ESCs on the arms like that.
Hello, future Chris here, or present Chris. I was just editing this video and I realized I hadn't really explained anything about why I was making this quad in the first place. The main reason was to have a little test bed to try out some AM32 ESCs that I'd been sent, and also I have a huge roll of 100 gram fiberglass that I wanted to do something with. The AM32 project, if you haven't heard of that, I'll put a link in the description to where I first heard about it, which was an interview with the developer by Joshua Bardwell on his channel, and that pretty much explains everything you'll need to know about how the project got started. But basically, it's an open source firmware for ESCs that will run on 32-bit or BLHeli32 hardware most of the time. There's no guarantee that it will, but there are a lot of ESCs you can get that are supported. So I got this one here at first and tried that out. This is an iFlight 55 amp, and I was pretty amazed. I tried this with my 16-inch props, the ones that I'm going to use for the twin hopper, and I was quite surprised it didn't really get hot that much. So I think I might actually be able to use these for the twin hopper. Not this exact one though, because unfortunately I smoked this one. Yeah, so one of the attractions for me with this whole AM32 project is that it's much more accessible because it's not assembly language, it's C, and also open source. And also using the STM32 IDE that I've become familiar with working on the S-Bus mixer. So I fancied myself as maybe being able to twiddle around and you know, change and try things out and make my own ESC firmware builds. But yeah, you have to be pretty careful. Just because it's more accessible than assembly language doesn't mean it's easy. It's still a pretty complex thing to do. Like, it's, you know, some high spec programming going on there. So the problem that occurred with me is that I used a gimbal motor. I changed the firmware to be like a gimbal controller for a camera gimbal, brushless gimbal, and that firmware is expecting to be using a very low kV motor for brushless gimbal, but I just used it with my fairly high kV motor for the twin hopper anyway. So I smoked that, but I really like that ESC, so I got a couple more. And when I realized how relatively easy it was to try out this AM32 firmware on other ESCs, I got some more here, just some cheap ones that I found on Banggood. These ones, as far as I know, are not confirmed to work with AM32, but more of them are, as people figure out, you know, what pins and ports and things need to be used to control the actual FETs on here. Yeah, and anyway, somewhere along the way I started lurking on the AM32 Slack channel, and the guy, Pete Smith, I think, noticed me there, and he asked if I'd like to try some ESCs, and of course I said yes, so he sent some out. So we have these here. This is iFlight Blitz, I think 35 amp, maybe, that one. And this is a 20mm layout there, so I'll probably try that with a little Omnibus F4 Nano V6 with ArduPilot. This is a SkyStars Talon Slim 40 amp. It's amazing how small these things are. There's 40 amp ESC there. And it's got a little RGB LED on there. Oh, and another thing that's quite interesting to me about a lot of these ESCs is that they have a telemetry pin. So you can see on there, there's a, if it's going to focus, there's a S for signal. So that's your normal input signal that you would use, like servo PWM signal coming in to tell the ESC how fast the motor should spin. And then the TX is information coming from the ESC back to the flight controller to tell the flight controller about, I guess, how much current's being used. Maybe the voltage as well, perhaps. I'm not sure. I've never really used them. But it occurred to me that that TX pin could just as easily be used as another input. And specifically what I wanted to try doing, I haven't really got around to this, but it seems to me that it should be possible to use this as an input to tell a plane motor that the prop should be braked at a certain point. So this would just be a normal digital input, and there'd be some kind of a sensor that detects when you turn the motor off, the prop is going to spin freewheel for a while, right? But if you can tell it to brake the prop only at a certain point as it freewheels around, the prop would probably stop at a point that you could define. And that could be used to just keep it in line with the wing, as I might try with twin hopper, I don't know, to reduce drag, right? Or it could be used to actually stow the propeller inside like a motor glider. You know how you have some gliders have a motor on the roof, like just behind the cockpit, and it opens up, and then when they've got up to height, they'll fold that away inside the fuselage. You could probably do something like that with it, but haven't gotten around to that yet. But I think it should be doable. Another thing that was in the package from Pete was this thing here. It's actually a flight controller and ESCs to go with it. So this is the Diatone Mamba F405 US. That's what we have there. And ESC, I forget what that's called, Diatone F50 or something. I think it's 50 amp set of ESCs there, like 4-in-1. And so I wasn't expecting to get any flight controllers in this package, so it was a little bit of a surprise. I'm not sure if it was a mistake or not, but I'm going to keep it. These things are not that cheap these days, you know. Flight controllers, they're starting to get pretty expensive. And yeah, so this is the one that I've built into my quad here, and turned out to be really nice. Nice clean video feed. And I don't know if it's the Betaflight or the AM32 ESCs that are helping me out here, but it's been about somewhere between 4 and 6 months since I last flew a mini quad with any regularity, but it feels like just yesterday, and that never used to happen. Every time I took like a 6-month break and came back to flying a mini quad, I felt quite rusty. And yeah, so I'm not sure exactly what it is, but this time just felt like I hadn't taken a break at all. And this quad, probably, yeah, I'd say, yeah, it's definitely the nicest flying quad I've ever had. And I haven't, been spending a whole lot of money on my quads over the years, so it probably wouldn't be too easy to top the list of the ones that I've had in the past. Yeah, but it's just does everything exactly the way I want to. So I'm quite happy about that, and I've been flying it quite a bit, at least when it hasn't been raining. And these props also here have the honor of being the longest flying props on any mini quad that I've ever had without being damaged. So I haven't really crashed this to the point where the props needed to be changed or anything. So that's pretty amazing. And I put that down to also having a decent video feed and just the quad doing exactly what I want to all the time. And anyway, so because I smoked that ESC there and I did like it so much, I got a couple more of those. These particular ones here, not that cheap. The ones that I got there were quite cheap. But this is a couple more of these iFlight 6X 55 slicks. And so I'm going to try using those on the twin hopper. And another reason that I wanted to get another couple of these exactly the same to try is that the stuff that Pete sent me, he kindly flashed the AM32 firmware on there already, which is nice because I don't have to do that myself. But in the interests of like maybe comparing BL Heli and AM32 to see if there's any efficiency difference or like temperature difference, maybe one will get hotter because it's making the fets hotter or something like that. I'm not really sure if Pete wanted me to do like reviews for this or whatever. He didn't say, which is quite nice. It's always nice not to be sort of told, you've got to do this or that. He literally didn't say anything. Yeah, but for my part, I thought would have been nice if I could do a before and after comparison with BL Heli and AM32. So couldn't really do that with the ones that he sent me. I will be able to do it with these ones if I can get AM32 running on those. And since I know I can get AM32 running on these, I'll be able to do a side-by-side test. I'll just do one of them at AM32 and one of them BL Heli 32, and maybe just do some efficiency tests and see if there's any difference. It's slightly awkward, maybe if you're wondering why don't I just put these ones back to BL Heli 32 to do a comparison. You can't do that, unfortunately. Once you've changed it from BL Heli 32 to AM32, then that's it. Anyway, I've waffled on enough about this. Let's just take that little quad for a fly.
Oh, that's weird, eh? When I put the throttle to 0 and it's just kind of in that air mode, it's sort of pulsing or something. Hear that? I don't know if you can hear it. It's not very loud. You can hear that, right? Not sure what that's all about. So, yeah. One of the problems with what I'm doing here is I'm testing, or I'm trying two new things at once. One of them being the AM32 ESCs, and the other being the Betaflight 4.2, which I think is the first time I've tried it. Okay. So I don't want to waste all of this battery on line of sight, so let me go and get my goggles on. Okay, wow, that's a great picture, isn't it? Hope it stays like that while I'm flying. Check this out, we've got the all this stuff on here if we wanted to use it. Just ignore the farmers yelling at each other over there if you can hear that. And let's see, oh, this bird. A little bit of, whoa, a little bit of static there. No, still a pretty good picture though overall. Oh, there's a farmer's coming along the road on his bike.
Where is he? Oh, he's going the other way, I think. He's out there somewhere. I can hear him. So there's a little bit of buffeting side to side. I haven't done any tuning, it's just Betaflight straight out of the box. Well, there's a, what do you call it, like there was a preset or something, so I just applied the preset for this flight controller. But it doesn't know what kind of a quad it's flying. Yeah, it's a nice day. It's just a tiny little bit of breeze. So it's a good day to test whether you're getting any prop wash and stuff like that. Oops. I haven't flown a miniquad for about 4 months, so considering that, actually feeling fairly comfortable with it. Let's see if we can zip around these trees a little bit. Yeah, so I'm supposed to be like thinking about how the AM32 ESCs are working here. But like I say, I'm also having to evaluate what Betaflight 4.2 is doing for me as well. So it might not have been the smartest thing to try and do these at the same time. But like I say, this flight controller and ESCs were given to me with AM32 already flashed, so I can't really do a comparison with Betaflight. Because you can't go back to, sorry, not Betaflight, BL Heli 32. Because you can't get the ESCs back to BL Heli 32 after you've put AM32 on. A little bit of sort of prop wash there. It might have been me actually. See full roll rates like that. That was full pitch back. Oh, it's pretty solid. It feels pretty locked in. So yeah, that's nice, eh? Wow. Oops, that was me. I just bumped it there. Wow. A little bit of bounce back at the end of that last one there. It's hard to tell if that might have just been my sticks doing it. Let's try it again. Yeah, it's pretty solid. And back. Wow. So I'm just checking how quickly it stops at the, or how locked in it feels when it stops after that roll. If I let the stick go completely, the stick jiggles a little bit on the springs, right? Oh, that's prop wash. Lots of prop wash there. Getting some decent flight time out of it. Like, we're only like about 2 amps or so most of the time, maybe 2.5. Oh, here comes somebody. That's a car, I think. Oh, there's somebody there. And a doggy. Let's see if we can have a look. Oh, I'm too fast. Too fast. Oh, too fast.
Nice. Feels good. Sorry, I'm not really commentating very well, am I? Okay, we're about to 14.2, 14.3 volts there. It's nice that it can hover and fly around at such a low current. But I think I'll just let this battery have a rest and put the next one in. Where are we? Here. Oops. So about 7 minutes or so there. It's pretty good. This is a 4S 1300. It's one of those graphene, the black ones. Okay, now that I've gotten used to this a little bit, I want to, in this flight, we're going to have to push those ESCs a bit further. So, it's full throttle, 12 amps. Hard to tell if we're still climbing. But there was a bit of kind of vibraty sort of a noise there. A bit hard to tell if that might just have been something a little bit loose on the quad itself. Maybe the props are vibrating. I don't know. But anyway, this is a view from above. Looks like there's a fire over there. A bit hard to tell how I'm moving though, isn't it? Because so high up. Good picture though. So yeah, I really like this flight controller. I was having a hell of a time getting it to work with ArduPilot though, because the EKF wasn't working very well. The accelerometer seemed to be drifting or something. Uh-oh, shit. Just kidding. Yeah, this is more fun, isn't it? Oh, when the picture's this clear, makes you more confident, doesn't it? I wonder what it must be like to fly with one of those DJI video systems. I'd be so confident I'd have ploughed into one of these trees already by now, wouldn't I? This is probably the closest I've ever come to them. And I think it is all entirely because of the clarity of the video. Just for the record, this is probably the clearest FPV video feed I've ever experienced. And yes, I know, I buy all the cheap gear, usually, don't I? So that's what you get. And I've never really bothered with video filtering stuff much, like filtering the power for the video transmitter and stuff, but maybe I should have, because this is great. It's fun. Gradually getting closer and closer though, eh? I don't want to crash it in here because see how there's this gully? Like we got this pond over there, feeds into this gully, and the bottom of the gully here where the roots of the trees are, or the trunks of the trees are, goes down a long way, and it's all sloppy and wet down there, and it's quite steep, and it's tricky to get up and down the side. It goes down a lot further than it looks. Man, I'm flying around here and I'm talking, wasn't even really thinking about what I'm doing there. Whoops, a little bit. That wasn't very smooth, was it? Lost my flow. But anyway, yeah, as far as the ESCs go, seem to be fine, as far as I can tell. And they are very locked in, although
This is probably not so much due to the ESCs, it's more just due to Betaflight. But when I do this, see that jiggle? I'm pretty sure that's just from the sticks. So if I can maybe not let the sticks go completely when I do that. Yeah. Oops, hold on. But if I don't let the stick go completely, it's harder to stop it right in the middle. See that there's a little bit of movement after the roll finishes. That's me, because I didn't quite center the stick. But yeah, it feels good. It just, yeah, it feels really locked in. Oops. If I could just... If I could just, you know, fly it a little bit more competently. I meant to do that. How much battery we got? 14.3. Let's go and see what these guys are doing. Car is still there, so somebody there still, but not sure. That doesn't look like they're doing anything right now. Okay, hands off. Yep, still got that little bit of shudder, you know. This is hands off all the way here, so yeah, I've never had a quad that didn't have that little bit of shudder. Is that just always going to be there? Because you know for sure that in the HD video that's going to show up. Hands off here again. Oh well. Everything is working fine, and quite enjoying this. I should fly miniquads more, shouldn't I? At least when the weather's like this and nice and sunny and bright, the picture's really good. It's great. I could have kept going, damn it. I disarmed by reflex. Okay, so I think I'll leave it there for this video. Unfortunately, it turned out to be not such a great test of the AM32 ESCs in general. The only real conclusion that we can come to at this point is that this quad flies great. And it's mostly due to that plywood and fiberglass construction, probably. No, yeah, it's hard to say exactly how much influence each of these components, mainly Betaflight and the ESCs, are contributing, because I didn't get to check it with any other type of ESC firmware. But rest assured, this is not the last you'll be seeing on my channel about this AM32 business. So I'll just sign off here, and this video that we're looking at here, by the way, unfortunately we didn't have quite as many sunny days after that, but we did have some very calm weather, so I flew this quad out a little bit further on the farm, and this has been smoothed by Virtual Dub D-Shaker. That's why it's so smooth. So that little bit of shudder was there while I was flying, and this is filmed with the Runcam hybrid, which is why the wide dynamic range is not very good. Yeah, I don't like this hybrid camera that much, in that it on a overcast day like this, it just picture's not very good really. But anyway, enough waffling. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.